and the heart of Jesus, that we are not to close our heart off to one another. Not only are we to die to hate and die to a closed heart, but I think one of the big ideas in conclusion of this passage is we are to die to the idea of my life. It's my life, Judah. Nobody tells me how to live my life. This is my life, bro. I'm going to get mine while the getting's good. I can't live your life. Your life doesn't affect my life. I am my own man. I will not be dictated and determined by anybody else. I will not be told what to do. It's my moment. It's my time. It's my life. I'm going to do what I think's right. The Bible says for those of us that have accepted Jesus and the fact that he laid down his life for us, that we're actually to lay down that attitude that says, this is my life. The life you see me living is not mine. It's not mine. But it is lived by faith in the Son of God. Why? Because he loved me and he gave himself for me. I have died to my life. There's this story that happens 2,000 years before the birth of Jesus, and Abraham is a nobody that God makes a father of many of nations and father of millions. And you know the story of Abraham and his wife Sarah, that they get old in age and they can't have kids, and God's gracious, and then he gives them this boy, Isaac. And Isaac is everything Abraham and Sarah ever wanted. And then Genesis 22 happens where the Bible says Abraham is tested by God. And God says to Abraham, I want you to take your son, your only son, the one you love, and I want you to take him to a mountain in which I'll show you, and there you will sacrifice him to me. The story goes, he wakes up early the next morning, he gets Isaac, gets his servants, and they go. And as they're traveling, some 3 days later, finally God says, that's the mountain, go there. Abraham says to his servants, naturally you would imagine, say, you stay back, my son and I are going to go, we're going to go up there, worship. Listen to the words of Abraham. He says, and we will come back. We will come back. So Abraham believed that his son wouldn't die. And they begin to build an altar. Isaac says to his dad, Dad, we got the wood, we got all the preparations, got the night. Where is the animal for the sacrifice? He says, God will provide for himself the sacrifice. I just want to know how this went down. We're talking about dying to my life. Dying to this life is mine. Abraham finally comes to this moment where he's got to tell his son. And Isaac says, well, what do we do now, Dad? He says, well, son, I don't know how to tell you this, son, but you're the sacrifice. What? You're the sacrifice. What do you mean, Dad? That's crazy. I know it's crazy, son. I believe that God's going to do a miracle. I don't understand it. I don't know what we're doing. And the Bible makes it very clear that not only did Isaac not understand it, but Abraham didn't understand it all. And I'm going to tell you something in this life. When you start following Jesus and worshiping Jesus, if you're going to prepare yourself to understand it all, you are going to be sorely disappointed, because there are going to be seasons and mountains God's going to call you to climb and ask you to do things that in the moment do not even make sense. They don't add up. There's no mathematical equation that can make sense for the season you're going through. And Isaac says, are you serious? And I would like to propose that Isaac does not get on that altar because his dad forces him. No, I think at some point Isaac finally said, go ahead, Dad. Son, are you sure? Yeah, Dad, let's obey God. Isaac gets on the altar. Abraham holds up the knife or prepares himself. And immediately, God didn't want Isaac, for he would send his own son. I know, and the Bible says, and Abraham looked, and there was a ram caught in the thicket, which of course is a picture of Jesus and the crown of thorns that was on his head, and it was a substitute, the sacrifice. And the Bible says, and they sacrificed the animal instead of Isaac. But can I ask you a question? How much confidence in God did Abraham and Isaac come down that mountain with? Well, you know what? I would like to propose it gets all the way back to trusting God in a moment to say, this isn't my life. This is about God. It's not about what I want, when I want it. I'm going to get on this altar and trust that God will give me life. That's the message of Jesus. So if you're in a season right now and it seems like the knife is lifted over your life and you're asking yourself, where is God? What's going on? Why won't he deliver? I'm telling you, God is right on time. And I say that tongue in cheek because he's right on his time. And Isaac wasn't supposed to die. Jesus is to die so that we can live. But in response to what he's done, we too are to surrender. Get on that altar and say, God, it's not my life anymore. It's no longer I who live, but Christ in me.